Hello everybody and welcome to yet another episode of the Week in Technology. My name is Karamjit. Today we have a guest instead of our normal, very able co-host Aisha Mustafa, and our guest is Dr. Rajan. And Dr. Rajan is the CEO of Holista Caltech Limited, right? Incorporated in Australia.
Yes.
Okay, very interesting. And the reason why we brought Dr. Rajan on the show is to talk about the funding scenario for biotech in Malaysia. But really also his experiences will illustrate the challenges that all entrepreneurs in the technology scape, I think, face in Malaysia. And it's a rare example where an entrepreneur is coming out and being hard-hitting and honest about his experiences, and I think it's refreshing. We first heard about the speech, I think it was about now 4 weeks ago, Dato', right? 2 weeks ago, okay. When he spoke at the conference on biotech funding organized by Biotech Corporation. And we will get to that very shortly, but just last week, okay, you're going to be watching the show. It goes on air over the weekend, so people will be watching it on the 17th, but on the 4th, which was a Friday, me and Aisha and Doreen had gone to Penang to see USM because we wanted to see what they're doing in terms of innovation, Dr. Rajan. And we found out that they were going to come up with a science park, called Science at USM. And what struck us was the scale and the ambition of the project, Apparently the project was inspired by a 5-day visit they had last year to Boston, and coincidentally they were visiting a biotechnology cluster, which, the Boston area is famous for.
Yeah.
And so this Science at USM was inspired by that. So they hope to create a community of academics, of industry, of researchers, coming together, and of startup companies, could be from the university itself, right? Starting off students themselves, and also from because Penang is an ICT hub, right? So getting some startups there to come in too. So it's a hugely ambitious project, at least in terms of its scale, and it's 600 million ringgit they're looking at over its time period. Yeah, they're confident they're going to get the funding for that. But talking about funding, they're going to be looking to the private sector for the funding. But in terms of funding, because it's the APEC University, which stands for Accelerated Program for Excellence, the federal government has given them a budget of 830 million ringgit, as an APEC University, and to achieve the APEC goals, and which is really about getting into the top 200 rankings of the Times, World University rankings within the next 5 years. And by 2020 to get into the top 50, hopefully, if not at least the top 100. So that's their goal, and they think Science at USM is going to be a big step towards achieving that. It won't be the only thing they're doing. And the people who are running it say that they realize that the key is really building a community, and it's not about the buildings and getting the community to interact. They're going to also have a small exhibition center there. And they're going to get various, conferences around the world, which are in the science technology space to be hosted there. And I was telling them that immediately, because I covered the MICE industry a little bit, which is the meetings, incentives, exhibition industry, and I said you only can win some of these exhibitions, or conferences, if you have a interested party, or an active association, within that space, within the Malaysia, so that you can make a bid for that. Because if you want to host the world, Ebola virus conference, and we don't have any Ebola research going on in Malaysia, no noted researchers, we're not going to get it. Even if we say we'll pay for everybody business class, right? They acknowledge that, but they said they're hoping that this will be a stimulant and a spur, to create further subspecialization, work in Malaysia too. And just getting the interaction going. Very ambitious, very interesting. I don't know if you want to comment on that, Dr. Rajan, and whether you work with USM even.
I think I should make a disclaimer. I am a USM old boy.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
And I'm on the industry advisory panel.
Oh, okay. So you're very familiar with this then?
I'm familiar with the project. Having said that, I think it's a very good thing that Malaysia is doing.
Okay.
We're clearly losing out internationally in terms of competitiveness.
Okay.
I'm not so hot on all these Times ranking and all that, because I think that's all marketing and somewhat gimmicky sometimes.
Gimmicky, okay.
Because as you get more and more universities, this is going to keep changing, and not all the parameters are entirely understood.
Yeah, okay.
But I think we need to get some fundamental things in place as far as research is concerned. I think the Tan Sri Zul, the Vice Chancellor, has got one thing right. He says let's focus on the bottom billion in the pyramid.
Okay.
Or the bottom 2 billion that's getting.
Yeah, I think generally they say the bottom 2 billion. Okay.
Yeah. So if the research is going to be based on that, then I think they got something going there. And let's not think that it's charity or trying to make try to do philanthropy here
Yeah.
because there's a lot of money to be made in that space.
That space.
Nearly all the big multinational companies are now there.
Mhm.
Smaller packs and cheaper packs and what have you to
Okay.
feed these people because they are the future. This is
Yeah.
where the growth is going to be.
Absolutely.
If we can figure out what's killing them and what's hurting them.
Mhm.
So then that means we're going to relook at malaria.
Yeah.
We're going to relook at dengue,
Tuberculosis, yeah.
tuberculosis. We're going to look at simple diarrhea,
Yeah.
things that actually kill and maim and destroy these people.
Mhm.
And if we really want to go and think about it, then making a very cheap computer, a
Yeah.
very cheap laptop,
Yeah.
that these kids could boot up
Yeah.
with internet capacity and all that.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think that's a very laudable thing, and there
Okay.
are very few universities who are thinking like this. So that's a good thing.
Very few universities that are thinking. Okay.
Along these lines.
Okay.
Everybody thinks about top part of the
Yeah,
pyramid,
sure.
that's where
Which is the
money
more sexy part, anyway.
and
Yeah.
that's where the money is.
Yes.
But that's not where the numbers are.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
numbers are here.
Mhm.
I think the other thing about this initiative is the fact that it's quite well understood that Professor Zol or Tan Sri Zol now has the necessary leadership and charisma and ability.
Okay. Okay.
I think a lot of us buy into that. I'm on the leadership panel only because of him.
Okay. Okay.
So we buy into
Interesting.
that.
Okay.
And he's a man of high integrity.
Sure. But it's interesting you mentioned that. I mean, when we were there, one of the faculty who was hosting us saying that there's a bit of unhappiness in the university that Tan Sri is not around very much. But his argument is that he has to go and promote the USM brand and get what they want, the game they're going to play, their strategy out there into the global market.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that criticism about Tan Sri.
Okay.
And I think in a globalized environment with Skype and internet and what have you, I don't think there's any more a reason
Physical
for you to be
presence.
physically present somewhere. There's a lot of teleconferencing going on. Meetings are virtual.
Yeah.
I think that's a 20th century argument.
Okay. 20th century. Okay.
The CEO of GE is not in office most of the time. That doesn't
Sure,
mean
yeah.
GE doesn't work.
Yeah.
He in his own admissions is 100 days on the road.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
So I think that if there's a team there, there's a structure there,
Okay.
does work go on without
Okay.
you? That's important.
That's
Are there necessary KPIs in place
Yeah.
that people deliver?
And has he appointed the right people, right, as his
Right.
deputy VCs?
Yes.
So I think he's got
Others-
6.
Yes, are the
Yeah.
deputy VCs in place?
Yeah.
Is the rigor in the way they set up their own KPIs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That they're all accountable. So I think this needs to be understood. in a
Understood.
deeper sense.
Okay.
So I that criticism I've heard a bit before.
Okay, and that's old, 20th century. Okay, good. I like that. Okay,
It's
you're
so
right.
20th century now.
Okay,
You're
yeah.
not here, so I can't do anything.
Yeah,
And today you've got even Skype video. So
yeah, of course, yeah.
You can do video conferencing for free.
Yep, absolutely.
So I think that doesn't that for me is not
Okay,
an issue.
doesn't hold water,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm not so hot on the conference center, the
Yeah.
exhibition thing,
Okay,
because it's going to be a property play,
okay.
and property play means you have to there's a cost involved, and then you suddenly become a conference organizer trying to do this.
Yeah.
When I think the focus should be on
Yeah,
developing-
I think I brought that up, and they said they're going to get they're in talks with Equatorial Hotel to manage the conference part of it and the nitty-gritty of the logistics part of it.
Sure.
But they just try to bring in some of these
But, but I
science
think
technology
creating a
conference.
community
Yeah,
around USS, a science community,
Yeah.
business community, incubators, a la Stanford,
Yeah.
MIT. This is the way to go.
Okay, okay.
It's worked.
okay.
It's worked very well worldwide. I don't see why it can't work in
Sure, yeah.
But I think we need to go back to fundamentals. We need to address creativity,
Yeah.
innovation.
Of course, yeah.
We need to address English. Our scientists don't publish enough. They don't
Yeah.
publish often enough. When they do get published, they don't get high impact journals.
Okay,
This is to be
okay.
addressed.
Yeah.
The kind of research we do is very often out of touch with reality. Some of it is blue sky. Some of it is done because of the grant.
Okay.
Some of it done because somebody wants to publish something. So there needs to be a lot more focus as to what we do, why we do what we do. And then I think we
Can get somewhere.
Yeah, and I think that there has to be there's also so much talk about Tan Sri, whether he's going to retire, when he gets retired.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
there has to be a very clear succession plan.
Yeah, correct.
It's too
Definitely.
big a project. Too
Sure,
big a
yeah,
project.
yeah.
And I think Tan Sri himself, I think the powers that be should consider extending him.